know. It's hard. It's expensive to date now too. When you were dating, movies were like a nickel, right? 44 years. Oh no, I'm not being mean. They're like $85 a ticket now, right? Here's a tip: if you go to the movies, do not eat the hot dogs. An employee of Regal Cinemas told reporters they used to sell the same hot dogs that are cooking on that spinning thing for 5 days. Yeah, so now they're getting sued by Walmart for stealing their recipe.
Why aren't you famous? Yeah, that's the question I hear a lot, especially when people find out that I've been doing comedy for over 25 years. Well, the short answer is I never focused on it. And fame really isn't something that you just apply for. But I have had the opportunity to be on some of those shows like Last Comic Standing, and here's my experiences. A few seasons into Last Comic Standing, I was scheduled to work a corporate gig in Arizona during the time they were having the auditions. So my comedian friend Michael and I started talking about it, and we decided that we'd drive over to it from LA. Then I think I was going to stay for the gig and fly back, and he'd take the car back. The 6-hour drive went great, and we got there really early to get in line. That was a good sign. Yeah, I think they came out and announced that they'd be taking like the first 100 or so people, so we were definitely in that group. After standing in line, though, a good part of the day, we were getting closer and closer to the front when they passed out the forms to sign. And that is forms with an S, because there were a lot of pages. Yeah, Michael and I read it. We're probably the only ones. And it was not in our favor. It looked like basically people at the show owned your act, regardless if you got on the show or not. And they could pretty much do with it what they wanted. Now that might be good for new comics, but those of us depending on our jokes to pay our bills, not so good. It seemed really invasive and not very comic friendly. So we talked about it and talked about it and talked about it until we talked ourselves out of doing the audition. Yeah, we got in the car and left. That was it. Well, okay, maybe not. A year or maybe 2 years later, I got a call from someone working at Last Comic Standing. Yeah, I think I had submitted again or something, I don't know. But this time, the person calling mentioned a friend of mine. It was someone who was kind of high up on the show, and they'd seen my tape and mentioned they knew me and that I'd be a good fit for the show. Yeah, I know for once I actually had an entertainment contact. So they offered me a scheduled audition without standing in line. I know, you're like, wait, don't you have to stand in line all day and night? Well, not exactly. I mean, sure, the show was trying to find new talent, but I'm guessing that what they were really looking for was undiscovered talent who had an act. No one told me this, but from what I gather, they had a problem with the winner from the first season because he had never done stand-up before. Sure, he beat out a lot of professionals, but he didn't have 15 minutes of solid club material, and so the show couldn't really do anything with him. No half-hour Comedy Central special or anything. So after that experience, I'm guessing they started looking for comics who had material but were undiscovered. That way, when the person wins, like my friend John Heffron won, they can really promote the person. So I was flattered that I got the call and decided I'd go through with it. I took the scheduled audition slot. Now, the day of my audition, I showed up at the Hollywood Improv on Melrose and saw the line of people who were waiting all night to get in. Yeah, I felt a little guilty, but I've done a lot of waiting in my career, so, if you want this bad enough, you can wait too. And my friend who had recommended me was at my audition, and the audition went really quick. I think I did like 2 jokes, and then my friend said, "Hey, Jan's funny, she has the time, move her to the next level." That was it. I got passed to the next level audition and headed out the doors, where they immediately shoved a camera in my face and wanted me to act all excited, jump around, and yay, I got passed. I did my best, but I'm really not good at that stuff. I went back the next night for round 2 and hung out in the green room with everyone else waiting for our shot. I remember there was this kind of crazy woman in there, and I think she actually ended up getting some TV shows a year or so later. Unbelievable. Now my turn came up, and I thought I'd do some kids' jokes along with some of my work jokes, because they'd be a little different than what everyone else was doing, dating and dieting jokes. Turns out work jokes were not really what they wanted. Yeah, I got some laughs on my kids' stuff, but overall, I didn't have a great set. Afterwards, I sat at the bar and watched a ton of my comic friends go in and do their audition. It was really a fascinating process. When they announced the winners for the next level, I was not one of them. I was a little bummed, but, since TV really hadn't been on my radar, I was okay with it. I was later told that one of my kids' jokes from that night would probably make the promos. It didn't. And that was the end of my auditioning for the show. A few years later, though, I got a call from the producers of a brand new show about to air its first season, called America's Got Talent. Yeah, somehow they'd heard about me, because I don't think I applied. I went in, did another audition, but again, no go. I guess I'm just not great at performing in front of 5 people who are judging me. No problem, though. The takeaway tip from this is to know when you should or should not be upset. Yeah, none of these TV shows were really on my bucket list, so I didn't waste time crying that I didn't make it. I enjoyed the experience, I was flattered that someone recommended me, and I just kept doing my comedy thing that I enjoyed. That's it for this episode. Thanks for listening. Feel free to check out my website, theworklady.com. This is Jan. Take care and enjoy your journey.